Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. We've got a great addition for you today. Our good friends Scott and April Goodger. Did I pronounce it correctly? I got it. Okay. Are here to talk about how to organize your home, your office, your car, your life. Whatever you want to organize, our good friends are going to help us do that. We're going to talk about strategies you can do on your own, and when you're really committed, bringing in the professionals. Kitchen Wise is the name of their company, and they come in and help organize homes, businesses, whatever needs to be organized, your garage, your shed, whatever. They'll have suggestions for you on how to organize your life, your home, your business, whatever, right? And well, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
It's a pleasure having you. So I'd like to find out the background of how you got into, the organization business. I'm a fan of what you do because I'm always collecting things, and I never want to throw out things. So I want you to educate myself and our viewers and listeners about how to. First, I think you have to get mentally ready, right?
Mentally ready is the key, because if you're not ready to purge anything, we can't help you.
That's it. So what do you do? So why don't you start by kind of giving our audience an overview of what your company's about, what you do, and how you got into the business.
Yeah. So I think the best way to describe what we do is that we all know, living in Florida, we don't have basements, right? We don't have multiple story homes. We might have one or two stories.
We don't have attics usually.
Right, we don't have we have attics. You can store some things up there. But really it boils down to, we don't have homes that have a ton of extra storage space, right? And so what we do is we help people maximize the space they have available by creating more space through things like custom closets or extra roll-out shelves in your kitchen cabinets or spice racks in your kitchen cabinets or different things. So we give you products to help organize and create more space while also creating more accessibility too, because as you age in place, a lot of people don't want to move, or where we are based in the villages, a lot of people are aging in place. So a lot of the products that we can offer actually allow you to age in place and create accessibility in hard to reach areas of your home as well.
How did you get into the business?
Well, I'll try to make a long story short. But previously I was a general manager for a large software company. We did software for churches. So database management, membership management for churches. Running that business, we were owned by private equity. And as a lot of people know, private equity, when they buy and sell companies, the culture gets sucked out multiple times. And we were getting ready for another buy. A lot of the things they were asking me to do, I just didn't agree with. My own integrity wouldn't let me do it because it was helping the business more than it was helping our client, which was the church. And so I knew my time was going to come short with that business. So looking for something else that I wanted to do, I realized through that time I didn't like sitting in a corner office, and decided that maybe I wanted to do something for myself instead of other people, other private equity. So just started down the path, secretly behind April's back, of looking at business opportunities that we could invest in and create on our own. And just happened to run across a franchise broker who introduced us to the Kitchen Wise, Closet Wise concept. And once I got a couple months down the road, this broker said, "Hey, you might want to bring your wife in on this." And from that point forward, we were living in Dallas, Texas at the time, and knew we wanted to kind of get back here into Florida, where we were originally from.
Did you have roots in Marion County?
No, actually, we were from the Tampa area.
Okay.
We were from the Tampa area. We had an opportunity to either start the business in the Dallas, Texas area where we were. We wanted to really go back to the Tampa area where we were from, but that at the time, the business was already open down there. The franchise was already open. And so my parents lived in the villages. I happened to run the business idea by them. They went, "Yeah, this will work here." And here we are.
Yeah,
4 years later.
because you have the need and you have people with financial resources to pay for your services, right?
Exactly.
And we represent a lot of clients in the villages, and I have a little sense of the, kind of mindset there. And everybody likes their house to be neat and organized, and the lawn to be looking good, and the backyard and everything, right?
Yes.
The villages.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And not to mention, a lot of them, Florida is such a transplant state that the people are moving down from the north with more items than can fit in the house. So that's where we come into play.
Yeah, so let's start the process, okay? I call you up and I go, April, I need some help, okay? How do you start the process and go through the evaluation?
Yeah, so typically we'll schedule an on-site consultation. We'll come out to your home. We'll discuss with you what your needs are to store your items. We'll take a look around. We'll offer recommendations. We take measurements of the different areas. Many times we can actually create a design right there, in person on the computer, pull it up. Hey, here's what your closet can look like. Here's what the shelving in your pantry can look like. Oh, here's a sample roll-out drawer that we can put in your kitchen that's solid wood. And it's soft close too, right? So we can show a lot of the different products that we have, pictures of different projects that we've done to give people ideas as well. But it's a highly consultative process, a lot of discussion back and forth about, what do you want to store versus what do you want to get rid of. There's many times I'll walk into a closet and a lady says, well, I have a lot of shoes. And I'll say, well, how many shoes is that? She goes, probably 150 pairs. And I'm like, okay, well, we've got a decision to make. What is more important? Is storing 150 pairs of shoes in your closet more important than hanging your clothing? Because the more shoes that we store in your closet, which is limited in size, the less hanging space you're going to have for everything else. So this is where the purge comes in, and they need to start making decisions.
So how do you recommend people going through that evaluation of what to purge?
Really, it's going to be when you empty your closet for us to come in and do what we need to do to rearrange it and hang all of our boards and create the shelving and things like that. When you're packing it back in, that's where you need to make the decisions. That's what we see a lot of people do. Everything will be loaded out of the closet, thrown on the bed, thrown on the floor, thrown other areas of the house, and then they start repacking everything into the closet after we do double hangs and long hangs and shelving and all this other stuff. And they're like, oh, well, I haven't worn this pair of shoes in 8 years, but I love it so, but I haven't worn it in 8 years, right? So they'll start making those decisions. One of the struggles we went through, we just did our own closet. We've owned the business 4 years. We just did it about 3 months ago. And we had to talk through, we don't have a large closet, and we share the closet. A lot of the homes that we work in have a his and hers closet. Well, we had to talk through, I had to convince April, how often do you wear a dress, right? And what was your answer?
Not very often.
So what did we do?
So we moved the dresses to the spare bedroom closet because my final answer, I had 2 designs in my closet to choose from that he designed for us. And I said, okay, I'm sick of talking about this. Bottom line, which gives me the most space? Which gives me the most space to put our stuff? And he goes, this one. I'm like, okay, we're done. Just give me that one. And so it took a mindset shift because now my dresses are not in where I normally have my clothes hanging. They're in the front bedroom, but it doesn't matter. I don't wear them that much.
You can walk to the front bedroom.
I go to the front bedroom to look for my dress.
It takes you 7 seconds.
Yes,
15 steps,
yes,
right?
Yes. So, really, we walked through that process ourselves. And he's right. We had bags of clothes and shoes that I'm like, I'm not wearing these. So why am I storing them? So now, with our closet, I still have space left. I still have unused space in my closet for stuff, for new things.
Well, I had once heard that to start with things that you've only worn in the last 1 year.
Yes.
Okay? If you say, I've worn that in the last year, and you put that on one side and all the rest on the other side, right?
Yeah.
That's one way to start.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's something else. Everybody moves down from up north, right? So they got a winter coat in this color and that color and 18 different colors or whatever, right? We're in Florida. and they know it gets cold in Florida, but for how many days, right? Maybe 2 or 3 times a year we might need to bring out a heavier coat, and then we've got our sweatshirts that we can put on, and maybe a windbreaker over a sweatshirt, things like that. So that's even some of the conversation that I'll have, where I'll see 2 or 3 feet of space in a closet taken up by winter clothing. I'm like, I've been in Florida since 1986. I have one winter coat, I have a few sweatshirts and a windbreaker, and I survive just fine. But what if I go up north? You've got one winter coat that you can take up with you, right?
Correct. So
it's just, again, mindset shift. You don't need all these different coats to match. You just need a coat to stay warm in Florida.
I think there's an emotional attachment to
There
certain
is.
clothing,
Yes.
and it,
Yes.
this fit me just right. I loved the look. It was, maybe I haven't worn it in 3 or 4 years, but when I did wear it, it sure looked
Right.
good, and it was,
Yes.
and it was, soft, and it felt good, and all that. And I'm challenged with that
Sure.
myself. So when you go in and you meet with people, the first thing you do is you figure out what they want as far as their priorities,
Mhm.
right? So what are some of the priorities you would ask me?
How much long hang do you need for the ladies' dresses, right?
Mhm.
Because then I'm starting to consider, can I create a space in their closet if it's large enough to keep some dresses? In our case, there wasn't enough space, right? How many shoes do you have? Where do you store your luggage? Do you have hats? I had one customer who wanted to keep his golf clubs in their master or primary closet. So it's all these different things. You look around at what's in the closet already, and they want to try and keep as much of that as possible in there. But then, there might be a dresser shoved in a corner in the closet. What do you plan on doing with that? Well, it was my great-grandfather's dresser. It's created out of solid maple. I really don't want to get rid of it. So in that case, maybe we're building a closet around this piece, right? Or there's a safe in the closet, right? And there's like, oh, can you build a cabinet around the closet and put a door on it? Well, absolutely, we can do that. Oh, but you know what? The first thing I'm going to do as a thief, I'm going to walk in and see a door. I'm going to think, oh, there's a safe back there. So do you want to spend the extra money on that door to hide your safe when people are going to know it's there anyway? I'm bluntly honest with people about that. And I am very conscious of spending their money the way I would want to spend my money. Right?
Do you also offer different price points for different, products?
Everything we do is custom to the homeowner's needs, right? So there's different variations that we can put on the materials. Obviously the more color you want, texture you want on the closet materials especially, the price will go up. We can round some corners instead of hard 90s, that's going to, rounded corners are going to cost a little more. We can add extra shelving that's extended on the top to, create a deeper shelf that adds some cost, right? So there's options that we can throw in there. Maybe
I like the glass in the drawers so I can see what's in the drawer.
So you can see what's in there, right?
But they're in a closet, but I still have the drawers so
Sure.
I can see what's in there, and it makes it, easier
Yeah.
to find my stuff.
We
Yeah.
can do anything in a closet from super luxurious crown molding, all kinds of cabinetry, that kind of thing, all the way down to just let's keep it simple and basic, right? We're finding that our customer base is pretty, I don't want to say simple and basic, but it's going to be kind of mid-range, functional.
Yeah.
Because they're moving down from up north. They've got a lot of things, so they're trying to maximize their space and keep it functional versus get really fancy. And really, in the closets that we serve, there's not a lot of space for fancy.
Yeah, my wife and I own a home from 1941.
Wow.
And the bedrooms are huge, but the closets were
Closets are
small.
small.
There
Yeah.
was one for the guy and one for the girl, and they weren't huge. And what we found out was, back in the 1940s, people probably only had 1 or 2 sport coats and 1 or 2 suits, right?
Right, yeah.
A few shirts,
and
a few
maybe
pants.
Yeah, a few shirts, maybe 4 or 5 shoes, and it was.
Welcome to America now, right?
Yeah. So in the old days, back around where I was born, okay, we had really tiny closet. We didn't have so much stuff. And now we got more stuff. And so Scott and April are here to help you with this whole, how to switch your mentality to less is more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I did. This weekend I started, going through shirts, and I took out some really nice shirts that some of them I had even worn in the last year, but I just wanted to make space. So I moved them to another closet.
Good job.
Okay?
Good job. Good job.
Couldn't quite part with them, but you moved them.
I know, we moved them. And then, there's other strategies, like if you buy something new, you got to get rid of something old, right? And, my wife and I love shopping, and we have a good time, and, it's part of our, what we enjoy doing, right? So you keep buying stuff, right? And that's the worst part, is if you can afford to buy stuff, then you're really in trouble.
You're looking, where am I going to put this, right?
So we bring Scott and April in, and they fix it all up, and then we go out and we buy more stuff, and then we fill it up, and then we got to call you back and say, we got a problem.
Need more shelves.
And then you look at us and you say,
yeah,
we can help with some of that, but part of it is you.
Yeah, well, and a perfect example of that, I had a lady call me and say, hey, I need to create more space in my closet. She had the typical ventilated wire shelving all throughout her closet. It was done well with double layers all around the closet. But I kid you not, you could not squeeze one more piece of clothing in there. It was packed in so tightly. She probably had, 12, 18 inches of space there, all black shirts. I'm like, how many black shirts do you need? Right?
Well, I try to color code my closet once in a
and
while.
And color coding is great, but how often do you wear every single one of those black? There had to be 30 black shirts there, right?
I know.
All slightly different styles, but it was packed tight. And I looked at her, I said, I can't help you unless you're willing to get rid of some things. You have maximized the space in here. There's nothing else I can do that will help you create more space.
Now, what about taking space, that's, for example, we had a large bedroom. The master bedroom was very large with tiny closets and a tiny bathroom, right? Okay. But huge room. I mean, it was like, it's like 24 feet by 16 feet.
Right.
And so my wife came up with an idea to just build out an area, a closet, and she did these bookshelves that swung open.
Okay.
And then behind this, we had
like a hidden closet.
It's a hidden closet that's about
nice.
16 feet long, right? And we each have about 8 feet. And then she has these bookshelves, and we keep our books and stuff there, right? And the TV's in the middle. And then we open these bookshelves,
right?
And all of a sudden it's like I've got 2 long racks, and then I've got the drawers where I can see everything in the drawers, and above it I've got the shelves and stuff like that. And it was like, I don't know how I existed before we did and we had somebody come in that, helped us like what you guys do, figuring out, okay, we can put this here and this here, and we have this much space, and you need this much to turn around, and you need this much, right?
Yes.
And
the things you don't think about. That's where the experts come in.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, I will tell you, it's very, very important for your peace of mind. This may be the best mental health tip of the year, is hiring Scott and April to help you figure out how to feel comfortable in your home and find the things that you want. Look, part of the process is coming up with where to donate the clothes you don't want that you think are usable, they're really nice. either your church to the, Goodwill type stores. Those stores help a lot of people. You may have a family friend that needs help,
Right.
or needs clothes, or they got kids that are growing fast and they can wear your clothes and things like that. So that's a good start, is to prepare the mindset.
Very much so.
Okay, I'm not ready to throw these clothes in the garbage can because I know these clothes and they're my friend, and I'm not going to treat my friend
Yep.
like this. Right?
Yep.
However,
Yeah.
if I lend my clothes to my friend at the Goodwill store or at the,
Thrift shop.
somebody that
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
someone you know personally, what I like to do is put all my stuff on a hanging rack, and then let friends or whatever come in and pick what they want, and then the rest
Gets donated.
Yeah.
donate. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
one
that's great.
strategy
Yep.
that I've come. Those big racks like you see in stores where they hang stuff.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of those in our house. Okay, and it's really, we're kind of like laughing in some way, but it's so important that it's not something to take lightly.
Right.
Now, the folks that you do work with, most of the homes in the villages are newer homes with smaller. Now, when I say smaller closets, they're not like 5,000 or 6,000 square foot homes.
Now.
They're,
I mean, the largest home really is about 3,500 square feet. The average home is anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet, right? So we're not dealing with super huge closets. But we don't limit ourselves to the villages either. I mean, we will go Ocala, we can come up to Gainesville, we can go further south into Wesley Chapel or out towards Apopka, Winter Garden, that area as well.
Oh,
So there's a lot
that's-
of different areas that we can stretch out to.
So now, in addition to closets in bedrooms, which you've been talking a lot about, what are some of the other areas that you work in primarily?
Kitchen would be probably our second most popular area. Just think about your own personal kitchen, right? You can open those bottom cabinets and you're reaching all the way to the back, getting on your hands and knees because you can't reach what's all the way back there, right? So what I would say our most popular product in the kitchen is a roll-out drawer, right? Open up the doors on the front of that cabinet. Let's put some drawers inside of there so that you can pull everything all the way out and get what's in the back. And most of the time we increase the space that's in that bottom cabinet, but also again give you that accessibility.
Right, because if all you have is shelving, you're limited.
Right.
To a great extent, because the shelving becomes an impediment to getting to the rear.
Exactly.
Either, the one below, the one above, and the one that you're working
Right,
in.
right.
So if you have either drawers that pull out all the way,
Right.
and have the strength to carry the weight.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's on the screen. I mean, we can open up a drawer that's right above your kitchen cabinets, and we can add organizers inside as well, right? We can add in something to separate your different utensils in there. We can do spice racks. We can put pegboards inside of a large drawer so that you can keep your pots and pans separated. Popular this way is liquor in your cabinets. Pull out a drawer for all of your liquor and your wine and different things like that. So there's a lot of different things we can do, not only in your cabinets, but in the drawers that are above your cabinets. We've got options above your for the wall cabinets as well. Things that you can do there. So it's some neat stuff that we can do.
When we moved in our home, my wife decided she didn't want any upper cabinets in our kitchen because she wanted artwork there.
Okay.
Luckily, we have a butler's pantry because it was an older home,
Nice.
Yeah.
and they built butler pantries.
Yeah.
And so we get to store all of our stuff in a butler's pantry, and from the floor up to the ceiling, it's open. So we don't have the closets, but it'd be pretty neat if somebody's designing homes to have space like that where you can actually walk into it, like a walk-in closet where that same feeling where you're walking
Right.
in. It's not necessarily public, and you can store stuff. I'll tell you the other area that's really big deal for us is our garage.
Yes.
I said, what do we deal? How do we deal with the garage?
You know, the garage is it can be difficult. Let's put it that way. A lot of people like to use some cabinets. You know, we can do some custom built cabinets for your garage to store different things. There's slat wall options. You know, a lot of people have seen the walls that it's just PVC slat that we can put all the way across, and the hooks that hook into it, and they're fully adjustable. If you don't want cabinets, we can create shelving and put shelving inside of there. You've got to think about the yard tools. Are you still cutting your grass? Do you still dig up plants? So now we got to figure out where are we going to put all the yard tools, the lawnmower, different things like that, right? For some people, it's really important to have a very clean garage with everything hidden. So we'll build cabinets and hide everything behind doors in there. Other people, they just want something simple, so we can. On the screen right there is a workbench that we've done, right? So everything clean and hidden.
Yeah, that's great.
In there. But we can also do, like I said, slat wall with hooks. You can hook all your garden tools and different things on as well. So
yeah. What about the flooring in the
flooring? We don't tackle.
But people that can help.
Yes, we've got plenty of referral partners that we can recommend for flooring and other items. A lot of people will ask us too, can you tear down a wall and like you did in your closet, right, and build new walls? We won't do that. We don't touch that.
We'll call in the experts.
We'll call in the experts to do that because for doing what we do, we are a registered business with the state of Florida. We're fully insured. But to build walls like that, you need more of a general contractor's license, and it's required to do that. So we stay in our lane.
And I think that's great. As far as how long does it take from the time you meet with somebody till you can complete a project, a range?
Yeah, that's going to depend a lot on what we're doing in the home. But typically with kitchen items, I tell our customers from order to install we're about 4 weeks. Usually we can beat that. I'd like to let's say under promise over deliver.
Right.
And then the other piece of that would be closets. I tell everybody right about 5 weeks for closets. But again, we can usually get it to about 4 weeks. The whole manufacturing process, everything is custom cut to fit the person, the closet specifically. So.
And do you have financing for people that want to do big projects?
Actually, we do not. We do not. It's just one of those things that we've chosen not to offer. As we found, most people are just willing to put it on their credit card.
Well,
and they want their points, right? They want their Southwest points. They want their Disney points.
I want my points. I get two points for every dollar I spend, right? So I want that.
Yeah, so
it comes out to 2%.
We just really haven't found the need.
And it really hasn't been asked very often enough. If we had it, if that was a common question, there's avenues to offer it.
But I mean,
living where we live.
In the villages, you're in a retiree community, and the folks there have worked all their lives to save enough money so that they can write a check or put it on the credit card or whatever, and just do it, and
that's not to say in the future we wouldn't offer financing. I mentioned the big territory that we cover, but we have not done a lot of marketing in many of those areas. It's just we are so busy right now with primarily Ocala Villages area that that's our main concentration right now. Looking to expand and grow in the future.
How do you market your company?
That's a great question. There's there's different publications that get sent in the mail. The Home Mag is one that we do. We do a lot of shows. We love to get out there, set up our branded tent, bring some sample cabinets, some sample closet pieces, and just set those up. When people look at what we do, they can feel it, they can touch it, they get a full understanding of the product and the quality that we offer. It's like, what? Maybe I'll have you come out to the house. A lot of it is seeing. We do advertise on a YouTube channel of a local guy down in the villages who does a lot of drone flyovers of the area. I'm trying to think. We do a lot of newspaper advertising, word of mouth, networking. The typical things that businesses will do, really.
Yeah.
Well, and nowadays it's changing. In the older demographic, I think some of the traditional marketing still makes a lot more sense, right? In the younger demographic, I think it's, social media and other
Right.
types of, marketing are
Yep.
maybe more, more effective. But I want to tell you, I'm really excited about, what you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
the next time I have a project, I'm going to call you
Okay.
guys. Okay?
Let's go.
So
We would
let's
love
go.
to help.
So it's
Of
kitchen
course.
wise, and how do folks get a hold of you at Kitchen Wise? What's the contact information?
Yeah, you can head out to our website, kitchenwise.com or closetwise.com. Or you can give us a call at 352-785. Let's start that again. 352-758-2650.
Yes.
So
Okay.
let's do
Yeah,
that
one
again.
more
Be sure we're
time.
good.
I want the number.
352-758-2650.
Okay.
And we can get a free estimate booked on the schedule for you. We can come out, take a look. Probably not April or I would not be the ones to come out. We've got a great team though, Lindsay, Christian, who would come out and take care of you for that.
Well, that's great. Scott, April, I want to thank you for joining us on Meldon Law and Friends. I want to thank all of our viewers and listeners who may have some interest in helping organize any part of their house that needs a little bit of help. I can tell you from personal experience, it's worth the investment.
It is. It
Okay.
is.
Yes.
And investment is an important word as well.
Yeah,
with
it's
that.
an investment, and that I think that for a lot of people, all of a sudden they feel like, oh, a weight's been lifted off my shoulders.
It is a great feeling. I had that feeling when we did our closet. It felt like the weight was lifted, and I love my closet. I love my closet. I never thought I would love my closet like I love my
know.
closet.
And the secret is that life goes on even if you get rid of something.
And you know what? Hey, gentlemen, if you're listening, happy wife, happy life.
That's right. Don't worry about getting rid of it. There's always more to buy.
There you go.
And that'll keep you guys in business for a long time. Well, I want to thank
Thanks for
Scott
having
and
us.
April for joining us on Meldon Law and Friends. Give them a call one more time with the phone number and contact information.
Yep, 352-758-2650, kitchenwise.com or closetwise.com.
Okay, and that's a wrap on Meldon Law and Friends, and we'll be back next week. Wait a minute, I have an idea. I'm going to give you some updates in just a minute after we do a few commercials, and then we'll sign off for the week. Thank you very much for listening and watching to Meldon Law and Friends. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Cary allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there. And I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again.
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Somebody else hit us.
Here we go again. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, owner and founder of Meldon Law, serving North Central Florida since 1971. And if you have any need, just go to meldonlaw.com or give us a call at 352-373-8000. And we are statewide now. We have a great office down in Fort Lauderdale, and we're adding an office in Aventura, Florida, where my daughter, who is the newest attorney to join the law firm, is going to be operating our law practice down there because she lives in Miami. So Jessica Meldon Nassim is going to be doing the South Florida part of Meldon Law. So just remember us if you or anyone you know has the need. We do accidents and injury cases all over the state of Florida. Couple things coming up in the community. July 3rd, getting ready for Independence Day in Williston at Horseman's Park. Their annual Independence Day celebration with a parade starting at 5 p.m. And then the celebration begins at 7 p.m. and fireworks begin at dark. So check it out, July 3rd, Horseman Park, Williston. June 4th through August 10th, the World Equestrian Center is having Hunter Jumpers elite programs. Just check out World Equestrian Center. We call it WEC, W-E-C, and it's going until August 10th. North Central Florida Outdoor Expo is coming up August 16th at WEC. We'll be talking more about that, but it's for outdoorsmen and folks that are looking for some fun time in the great outdoors. August 23rd and 24th, our town home and garden show is going to be coming along at the Alachua County Sports and Event Center. I've been there the last few years, and it's really cool. It's you can see all kinds of stuff that you need, and it's fabulous. Also, we are giving away a book that I wrote called Buying Florida Auto Insurance. It's free, and I would recommend that you read it so that you know what kind of insurance you need to protect you and your family. Florida's the Wild West of insurance. We have no mandatory bodily injury liability insurance, and we're the only state in the country that doesn't have that requirement. A bill was passed this year. It was vetoed by the governor, even though it was passed by 90% of both the House and the Senate. Very strange, but for now, you need to read my book because you need to buy what's called uninsured motorist coverage. That protects you, your family, if you're in an accident, if you're on a bike, if you're walking, in many different circumstances. The only thing that you need to get separate insurance for, besides your car, truck, whatever, is motorcycles, because motorcycles are excluded in 99% of the situations where you're buying an auto insurance policy. However, you can have a separate policy added on that covers you on a motorcycle. So again, it's Buying Florida Auto Insurance. You can either go on our website, meldonlaw.com, and download it for free immediately, or you can go to our office. We'll hand you one if you want to come and visit, Gainesville, Ocala, Lake City. Or you can also give us a call, and we'll send you one in the mail for free, 352-373-8000. So that's what's going on. We're glad that everybody's getting into the swing of summer, taking vacations and going and visiting friends and family. So have a good time, and we'll be back next week on Meldon Law and Friends.